Okay, so here is the next section, section 9.3. So we're graphing. So let me write it over here, y greater than or equal to x plus 4. How do we graph? We start at 4. That's up 4 in the middle. That's our first dot right there. And then 1 over 1. There's no fraction in front of x, which means 1 over 1. That's your rise over your run, so it means you go up 1 over 1. There's your second dot, and you connect the dots. Like that. And then the second equation, let's do him, y greater than or equal to 5 minus x. Let's reorder those. Minus x plus 5. That's the same thing, right? The order doesn't matter as long as the signs in the front are the same. So negatives in front of x, negatives in front of x, positive, nothing's in front of 5, so it's positive. So, okay, so we start up 5 in the middle for this one. So that would be, let me get this out of the way, that'd be right there. And then from there, it's 1 over 1, but it's negative. So rise over run means you go down 1 over 1, so it's right there, so that we connect the dots. Like that. There we go. So there's the two lines. This one started at 5 and went down 1 over 1. Okay, so now, how do you know where the shading goes? Well, let's take them one at a time. For the red one, it says y greater, greater. So the shading's up here. It's all above, greater. And so for the purple one, it also says y is greater. Greater means above the line. That's above the line. So what we want is where the two shades, we have two equations, we want to know where the two shadings overlap. Where do they overlap? This section. So that would be the section you would shade with the paint bucket on when you make the graph and you get the two lines. You just connect two dots and it'll make the lines, and then you shade in that upper section. That's all the shading you do. You don't shade anything else but that final overlap region up here. That's the answer to the question, is where the two shadings overlap. Okay, on number 2, we have y less than minus 4x minus 4. We start down 4 in the middle. There we go. And then this is minus 4 over 1, rise over run. So we go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1. So there we go. Connect those dots. I'm going to keep doing that. Up 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So there's how the dots go. Now, it's going to be a dotted line. Why is it a dotted line? There's no solid bar here. So if they have a solid bar, if it's less than or equal to, then you make it a solid line because you want to include the line where they're equal. But if it's, see, like the last one had equals, whoops, I erased it, equals and equals, so we had solid lines. This one, there's no equals on either one, so it's going to be a dotted line. Whoops, I'm not doing that very neatly. Here we go, it's a shaky line for sure. So, again, greater than, that would be solid. Solid line if it has greater than or equal to, and if it just has greater or less, it's dotted. Okay, so now let's grab the second equation, this one, y greater than x plus 2. We start up 2 in the middle, right there, and then 1 over 1, rise over run, the slope. Go up 1 over 1, right there, dotted line. And the graph maker has an option for you to make the line dotted or solid. So you just choose dotted lines for both those. Now, where's the shading go? You've got to find the overlap. So for the red one, it's y less. So lesser things are below. Now, what's below the line? Well, look at this is the y-axis, right? And this is the x. All I care about is the y, because it's y that's alone, not x. Y is less. Where's the lesser Y values, the negative Y values? The negative Y values are way down here, aren't they? Isn't this where the negative Y-axis goes? So the shading is this side of the red line. That's below the red line. That's where the negative Y values go. And then it's less than. Now for the purple, it's Y greater. Greater. Where's the Y-axis? Here's the positive Y-axis greater. You shade above that line. So where's the overlap of shadings? Because that's the answer, where the two shadings overlap here. There's where the two shadings overlap. That's where you put the paint bucket and shade the final answer. Okay, number 3, we have x greater than or equal to 5y. Now, in the last two problems, y was already alone, but y is not alone here. So I'm going to have to divide by 5, and then I have x over 5, and now I've got y alone, so now I can graph. Now, there's nothing afterwards. Let me move this over. So we got to put in a plus 0 there. And there's a 1 there. Does that make sense? We always have to see those 3 numbers because that's how we graph. We have to have a starting number. So if there's nothing out there added to the right of the x, put that in a little better, you just make that 0. Because adding 0 doesn't change anything. And if there's no number up top or down below, you just make it 1, because 1 times x, that doesn't change anything. So we start at 0, start at the origin, rise, over run, go up 1, over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go up 1, over 5. And it'll be a solid line, because it's a solid bar, right? Solid bar, solid line. Kind of like that. So there's our solid line. Let's go on and do the second one. The second one, solve for y. I got to get y alone. It's all about getting y alone when you graph. So take that x and jump it over. And then to finish getting y alone, divide through by 3. So negative x over 3 plus 2. Now I need a number up here. Put a 1. 1 times 3, it doesn't change anything. Okay, so this is where I start. Up 2, right there. And then I go what? Rise over run. Down 1 over 1, 2, 3. Like that. And that's going to be solid line. We have a solid bar here. Solid line. Okay. So now, how's the shading go? Let's go back. We have 2 shadings. Got to find the overlap of the shadings. Now, careful. Only look at y and the symbol. We don't care about anything else. Just what does it say here? Y is what? What side is y? I'm kind of shading out the y there. What side is y on? Y is less. Y is on the narrow side. See how y is on the narrow side of that symbol? Y is less. It's down here. Now, what about the purple graph? What is it? Y is less. So it's below the purple graph as well. So where do the 2 shadings overlap? This whole region down here. That's below both graphs. Because in both cases, that means y less. And that means y less. Okay, so we have y greater than or equal to 2. Now what does that mean? We've only got one letter. When you only have one letter, it's a straight line, meaning straight up and down or straight sideways. It doesn't slant at all. So we only have y. So y greater than or equal to 2. How do you do it? It just hits the y-axis. This is the x over there. It just hits the y-axis at 2. So right there at 2, solid line through the y-axis at 2. All right, and then what about this one? X, negative 5. That's just going to be a dotted, right? No solid bar here. So it's going to be dotted line at x, hits the x-axis right there at negative 5. You know the x-axis? Oops, like that. It's supposed to be right on that line. There we go. So it hits the x-axis at negative 5. Like that. Not making sense. Now, how does the shading go? Well, for the red, it says y greater. So I shade above the y. Now for the purple, it says x less. That means to the left. Lesser, we're talking about the x-axis. The lesser x values go to the left. Where do the two shadings overlap? I should probably extend this line a little bit. Where do the two shadings overlap? Right here, in that section. Okay, so here we are, number 5. We have, what do we have here? Y plus 2x greater than or equal to 0. Got to get y alone, so grab the positive 2x and jump it over. Y greater than or equal to minus 2x. So we've got to get y alone when you're graphing. So how do we graph that? There's nothing off to the right, so go plus 0. That doesn't change anything. That's my starting point. So right there at the origin. And then where do we go from there? Minus 2 over 1. Rise over run. Go down 2. 1, 2 over 1 right there. So connect a solid bar, solid line. Like that. Okay, next comes this equation. 4x minus 6y less than or equal to 12. Got to get y alone. Grab the 4x, jump it over. Minus 4x. And now we got to divide through by negative 6 to get y alone. Now, when we divide, maybe you remember this, when divide by a negative, you must flip the symbol. So right now, I got to turn the symbol the other way. Because why? Because I divided by a negative number. When you multiply or divide by a negative number, you've got to flip the symbol. So what does that give us? Y greater than now, greater than or equal to. These two negatives cancel to be positive. I'm going to reduce this fraction, divide by 2. Divide by 2 would be 2/3 x. Minus 2, right? Plus 12 over minus 6 is minus 2. So we start at minus 2. Get some room there. Start at minus 2, which is right here. And then this is rise over run. Go up 2, 1, 2, over 3, 1, 2, 3. There's the second up. Kind of like that. That's a solid line, because it's got to eat solid bar. Finally, the third equation is y less than or equal to 7. That's only got one letter, so that's just a straight line that hits the y-axis at 7. So it'll be right here. It's going to be solid. It's a solid line. It just hits right there at 7. And like that. And okay, now it's time to do all three. You want to find where all three shadings overlap. Start with the red one. Y is greater, so above the red line. Let's do the purple. Y is greater, so it's above the purple line. This is getting messy. And finally with the green. Y is less than the green line. Where do all three shadings overlap? Looks like it's right in here, doesn't it? Where all three, above the purple, below the green, above the red, right in there, that little triangle zone is where all three shadings overlap. Okay, number 6. 2x minus 3y greater than or equal to minus 6. We've got to get y alone, so grab the 2x, jump it over. So we get minus 3y greater than or equal to minus 2x. Right when the 2x jumps over, it changes signs. And now I'm going to get y alone by dividing by negative 3. But remember, when you divide by negative, flip the symbol. So I gotta turn this symbol the other way. So what do we get? Here's two negatives cancel to be positive. Let me keep it red so we're clear what the color is. So it goes the other way. So 2/3 x, and this is going to be plus 2, right? The two negatives make positive. So you start at up 2, right there. and then you rise and run. Go up 2 over 1, 2, 3. There we go. Solid bar, solid line. Boom. All right, let's do the next one. Take this, bring it down, 2x plus y. Less or equal to 7, jump the 2x over. Becomes minus 2x plus 7. We start, so we got y alone. We always get y alone. Start at 7 right there. And where are we going to go from there? Minus 2 over 1, rise over run. So go down 2 over 1. And then solid, solid bar, solid line. Connect the dots. Okay, final, we have a third one. So y greater than or equal to -4. That's just straight line through y equals -4. Right there. Hits -4. And okay, let's do the 3 shadings now. So this one is, the red one is y less. So shade below the red line. The purple one is y less. So shade below the purple line. We're looking for where all 3 shadings overlap. I should have let that go a little further, I guess. Below the purple line. And finally the green one, y greater above the green one. Okay, so where do all 3 shadings overlap? Looks like that inside triangle thing again. That's where you have all 3 shadings on that. So that's the answer, is where all 3 overlap in their shading. Okay, here we go. Number 7, 2x plus y less than or equal to 7. Got to get y alone. Jump the 2x over. Y less than or equal to minus 2x plus 7. So we start, add up 7. This is minus 2 over 1. Rise over run. Go down 2 over 1. Solid bar, solid line. There we go. Okay, next we'll do the next equation. This is x less or equal to 7. That's just a straight line, hits the x-axis at 7, right there at 7. Okay, next one. X greater than or equal, greater than or equal to 0. So that's just hits the x-axis at 0, right there. That's a line going right through the x-axis at 0. Like that. And then we need one more here. So we'll grab this one. Y less than or equal to 0. So this hits the y-axis right there, hitting the y-axis at 0. Okay, now let's go back and do the shadings. Where's the red? Y is less than, so shade below the red. And then the purple. X is less than 7, so left of 7. Looking for where all the shadings overlap. Next comes the green. X is greater than or equal to. That's to the right of. Just getting to be such a mess. Where do all the shades overlap? Finally, the Y is less than, below the Y, the orange. Where do they all overlap? It's between, I can't even hardly tell, and below. I think it's this. Because that's between the green and the purple. It's below the orange, but it's also below the red. Yeah, that's it. That's where all the shadings overlap, that little section there. Kind of hard to see. Yeah. Let me redo that one again real quick. Here, real quick, I can show you a quick way. Basically, what this means to get y alone again here, minus 2x plus 7, go up to 7, and then 2 over 1, so go down 2 over 1, there we go. You know, and we're shading. Well, let's keep going. And then the next one, x less than or equal to 7. So that would just hit the x-axis at 7, right there, boom. Okay. So let's just do those two, and then I'll show you a trick. So, so y is less below the y line. Everything below the y line. Maybe I should have extended this a little bit. Just make it a little further. So everything below that. And then the purple, x less than, so left of 7. Okay. Now, what about those other two conditions? What about these guys? Well, basically what they're saying is x is greater than 0, y is less than 0. So that's only positive x, negative y. That's what it's saying. Y is less than 0. That's negative. X is greater than 0, positive. So where are positive x, negative y? Down here. Yeah, that's the region. It's positive x and negative y, and it's the shading of the red and the purple overlap as well.